Choose you this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. It's Off-Grid Hybrid 3.0, tackling problems with programming a solar setup with multiple charge controllers, including my new EA Sun Power connected to my Bluetooth lithium ion phosphate batteries with several equipment failures by the end. Enjoy! Pretty awesome. Second day on my lithium ion iron phosphate batteries, and it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and the sun's just coming up. I'm breaking even on my power as the fridge powers up with my laptop running, and the birds singing, but they're not powered by the solar panels. But anyway, yeah, so doing pretty good with those batteries. I let the fridge running overnight, started from 100% state of charge before the sun started going down, and ended up with 46 in the morning. Pretty awesome. Yeah, the app lost connection. That's what's going on. It wasn't breaking even, but it actually probably, so I got my hopes up for nothing. Unfortunately, the app is a little janky, so you've actually, whenever it does that, or you have to, at least on this older Samsung tablet, got to go in here and force stop it, and then reopen it, wait a moment, let it connect your batteries. Doesn't seem to be connecting to that other battery. You know, look, if these are lit up, then you know it's on. And yeah, it is breaking even. Okay. Yeah, the problem I'm having, let's go back to device list. Alright, why isn't that battery connected? Alright, now it's connected. Now, I go back. No, it's not connected. Might as well just leave that settings tab open while I'm doing this. Normally, if you just leave it set to one battery, you can use it most of the day without trouble, because you don't really need to switch between the batteries as long as they're balanced, which you can see mine are pretty good at being balanced. I hate this case. I need to get a new case with just little clips on the corners. This thing gets so hard to do the swipe gestures. Anyway, alright. See, now both batteries aren't connected again. What is going on with that battery too? Alright, now. I do not like this. This is so, So I started at 100% and ended at 46, which is pretty awesome. But for what it's worth, I actually ran the home theater, big TV, and surround sound and big subwoofers. Man, it must have been until about 8:30 last night. So if I'm going to try to go closer to 92 to 95%, maxing out on the batteries to give them a little extra life, you know, I'm still giving myself a good 30% buffer. Yesterday, I went from 91% to 40%, but I didn't use a TV or anything after about 6 or 7 o'clock, but I did turn the TV and back on, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and ran it, and by the time the sun was coming up, I think I was getting closer to 30. Now, something we don't doesn't get talked about a lot is inverter draw. I don't know how to explain this, but the first night, this thing here seemed to draw about 40 watts an hour and standby, just sitting there ready to supply power, which is about normal after I looked it up, 35 to 40 watts, and actually might even be on the better side, because sometimes those things seem to take closer to 40 or 50 watts or more. Well, this morning, as I'm sitting there watching it from about 4 in the morning till the sun started coming up, putting energy back into it, I noticed that on standby, what was happening on the screen was the current. Oh, goodness gracious. You know what else might be going on? This thing might have lost connection. Let's do a retry. Okay, what I tried to do is, even though it didn't say the second battery was connected, when it brought up the battery 1 screen, I click that, and like it has always been doing, it clicks over to battery 2, but then it goes to loading, and it just sits here, and it sits here, and it sits here, and nothing you can do except, guess what? Exactly. Oops, let me do this. No. Yeah, see, I even tried clearing the cache in that app, and that didn't work, but force it to stop again. I hate this case so much. I can't wait to get a new case. And now to go back to the last battery I had it in, which was battery 2. That's really the only way to actually switch it around to look. Same thing if you go to control, no operation permission, and I think that's because you have to go in here and perfect data, and it'll make you log in, and I think what it does is register your battery and report back to what you've been doing to your battery, probably for warranty stuff. And I imagine though, if you send it in for warranty, they can just look in the BMS and see what you got going on, but this might save them a shipping charge or something. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of monitoring and all that stuff, so I'm gonna try to find a way to open up that control without agreeing to send them access to my battery information. See, okay, fridge just came back on, 57 watts. Now you have to multiply that by 2 because I've got 2 batteries, so it's actually charging at about 120 watts right now, which is pretty good for being before 8:30, and it is just outrageously cloudy outside. Yeah, this is working out real good. But anyway, yeah, like I said, so the only way to change batteries is to click this. Parameters, basic information. You can change your battery name. Again, it gets wonky sometimes. You gotta force stop and reset it a few times, but got all your information in here. But again, if you want to change your battery, click and wait for it to lock up. Come out of here, force stop it. But at least I found a way to change your batteries that you want to view and watch. But again, you got them balanced, and you don't need to really do that. These are actually pretty well balanced. 0.00 volt difference, and the other one I think was 0.01, and went to like 0.02 over the course of half discharge. So not bad. All right. Anyway, this is all provided by. That's hooked up to those $75 Chinese panels that I really don't like. And I don't like the Mr. Power, so it's just sitting there to collect some sun at the end of the day, middle to end of the day. Same with that. That's going to actually a really nice quality but broken, shattered panel on the roof over my skylight. Of course, I got the big inverter that I'm finally getting to run overnight every day. And all my drill batteries that are actually turning out to be on a professional level, getting some yards done and making a bit of a profit. But here's the new star of the show. Ta-da! Look at that joker. 100 amp. Not the best user interface and everything, but definitely, from what I hear, reliable and solid programming, if again not user friendly. The only thing I haven't figured out is this right here. I'm assuming that goes to the battery to keep temperature tabs on the battery temperature. And there's also a data port up in here that I can hook up, I believe, to an external screen, or probably hook it up to my laptop to be able to change more parameters in it, because I've had a lot of program with these cheap Chinese, and even that, again, it's a higher quality and a little more expensive, but it's still, you know, on the low end of, you know, like I said, user quality. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is it was confusing. Here, I'll just, why not teach you a few of these basics. Okay, lithium ions, because everything else with flooded, all the lead acid batteries are pretty easy. Okay. Oh, gel, lithium ion. Okay, 24 is the voltage. You have to set this manually voltage for your lithium ion batteries when you first plug it in, by the way. Okay, equalization doesn't matter because it's not acid batteries. That makes sense. BST, that's boost. That's absorption, or the maximum voltage that it's going to allow into the things. And then supposedly, if everything works right, it's supposed to shut off at that point and wait until it reaches boost recovery, which I have set for 13.5 volts. So as soon as this thing reaches 13.5 volts, it will charge this thing back up to that other voltage. I don't know that that sounds right. See, that's what I'm saying. Something, because here's the deal. Let's say these batteries get up to the 3.55 volts a cell. It shuts off, you know, and it waits for it to float back down. But let's say I turn the air conditioner on and it starts pulling a little more than the solar panels are going to pull off. Okay, maybe this is going to work out, because if it pulls out not enough to overcome the solar panels, then that won't never need to go back on, and the batteries can just keep doing their thing. All right, that charge controller might make sense, and same with this charge controller, it might make sense. Although I'll admit this one doesn't. Okay, D01, I'm sorry, D04 is battery type. 01 has your basic float and, you know, absorption and float, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, when you set it to 00, that's lithium ion. Now, the problem I've had with lithium ion, and this is just the where it shuts the little output over here off if you want to run a solenoid or a small 5 amp or less output on there. Anyway, 14.5 volts is supposed to be, hold on, did it allow me to set these different on this? Wow, it didn't let me do. Okay, see, last time I changed one of these and changed the other one. Now it's actually letting me say, okay, so this is, never mind, the bug is out of here. Anyway, D01 is going to be your floating voltage. It's kind of backwards from the other one. And then D02 is going to be your maximum voltage up to. Then it's going to supposedly shut off until it reaches that other voltage. This thing here has a few little programming problems, but we'll see. You know what? I wonder if that was my problem, is because, you know, I come to this thing and it was D00 and I thought, I think I had this set wrong on lead acid batteries, and then when I came in and changed this on lead acid or lithium batteries a couple days ago, I think I changed this to back to the, you know, the lead acid gel type batteries on this menu right here. I think I had this set for lithium ion on the lead acid batteries. That might explain why this thing wasn't going back into a float mode right away, or getting locked in float mode when I needed to start charging batteries again. It might have been my own problem. That charge controller might actually work proper with it set right. Oh boy, oh boy. Well, now I'm glad anyway I did, because when I show you all the panels, you'll see why. Anyway, this one here. All right, this one here is a little more confusing. All right. Where is it? Okay, B4. B4 is the lithium ion, and this feature isn't even available on some of these that don't support the lithium batteries. Anyway, The other 1, 2, and 3 are your different types of lead acid battery, lead acid gel AGM batteries. From my understanding, you can probably use 03 AGM setting for lithium batteries. I think it's the third setting is AGM. You may have to look it up on yours. But anyway, the only setting that I'm getting on this when I have it set to lithium ion is power voltage off. I'm assuming 28.3 is going to be 3.55 volts a cell. I'm hoping that's where it shuts off and it's automatic that it brings it back down to 3.35, ish volts a cell before it clicks back on and tries to start charging back up. Again, unless a current draw brings voltage down enough. But there's no other setting for that. I don't remember in the lead acid settings if there was there. Anyway, so let's give it a try real quick. Sorry about the lighting, it is terrible. Let's go try the AGM setting. Alright, click. Bing. Alright, now let's see what features we have we can adjust. Alright. Power voltage, load out. Power voltage off is this is a crazy menu. Okay, kind of got to reset this thing back to this screen and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, 29.2 is too high. I think I want to set this down because again, it thinks it's a lead acid or an AGM battery. We want to set this down to closer to 28.2, 28.0-ish, I believe. I had this one at 28.3, which is 14.3, which is divided by. Anyway, it should be 3.55 a cell. All right, so let's see. We got power voltage off. Amperes. I don't understand that one. Load off. Let's just reset this real quick. I don't even know if you're still with me, but alright, so we got the temperature, how many amps coming in off the solar panels, how many going out off the little clicker over, or the wires over here, PV in, amp hours, got the load out, amp hours, and I think that's accumulated for the day or until you reset it. Power voltage off. That was the one we were talking about. I did a stupid thing again. Like I said, you got to really learn how to look at this thing. Alright, we're at number 6. Power voltage on. Load on. That's when, if this gets tripped off. Load off, that's low voltage off. Load down, hours, and then back to battery. So this only has one setting too with the AGM. There is no floating max. So we're going to experiment with this today and see if we get these batteries topped off, and we're gonna see. Oops, that's not what I wanted to change. Oops, no, but it is what I wanted to change. These things are so wonky. There we go. Change back to lithium. At least this thing resets right. The other one, sometimes you're supposed to pull it off the battery and put it back on to make sure everything changes right. Which, if I have any trouble with it, is the first thing I'll do. 28.3, kept the settings. Good. Alright, anyway. The other thing I don't care for in this one here is you can go to your battery voltage, charging voltage, and your amps that's coming in off the solar panels. And I like this about the watch. You can watch your wattage, which is, kind of nice. But it doesn't really tell you what your battery's doing, especially at night when this thing just goes to zeros and your power voltage in. But it'd be nice if you could go like this and keep it locked in on your battery voltage, but you can't. Whereas, fortunately, with the Sun Power, you actually can. You can have it. This is your battery percentage that it's guesstimating, and this is how much is coming in off solar panels. And oh good, since I got this programmed right, because I had the numbers backwards yesterday, so it actually overcharged my batteries. At first it wouldn't charge them more than about 70%, and then when I finally got it dumping about 40 or 50 amps into the batteries at a time, it did the opposite. It went boop and overcharged them when I had to take off for a little while. But anyway, the thing I do and don't like about this is it goes in hundreds. So it's, you know, it's actually getting 200 watts right now. When that goes to 1, it goes to 1 kilowatt. This is supposed to go up to about 3 kilowatts on 24 volt system and 5 kilowatts if I get 2 more lead acid batteries I'm going to set under the bed that are sitting up front right now that to make it 48 volt. But then I'll have to get a new inverter and a new step down DC converter, all in good time. Or maybe you run the 12 volt system, 12 volt 24 volt off the lead acid batteries, and just use the lithium ions for nothing but 120. Anyway, back to this one here. See, this one here actually shows your wattage with a tenth of a watt, so it's a totally different. So when I first looked at the other one, I got a little confused at first. I didn't think it was doing much. The downside to this one is it flickers a lot, you know, rapidly changes a lot and looks unsettled, versus this one here, you know, looks nice and calm, you know. But here, you know, I don't know if I'm getting 170 watts or if I'm getting 101 watts, you know what I mean? With that meter right there like that. Again, as I get bigger and more and all that, that's going to be more of a valuable meter than these. But honestly, that right there really fixes it all. It tells me how much I've got in off all my panels all at once, and when it's discharging, same thing. When they're not, if I'm pulling more power than it's going in, same thing. It's click negative, and it tells me, you know, charge times or discharge times versus on whatever I'm pulling at the time. And this has become really good because this is what's been telling me how much energy this uses on standby, that 40 watts an hour. Although last night it was cycling 13.5 or about 25 watts, but it was coming on for about 5-6 seconds, going off for 5-6 seconds, coming on for a few seconds, going off for a few seconds, coming on and disappearing for a little while, coming back on. You know, talking about on this meter as I'm watching it last night from 0 to, you know, whatever that's going to draw on standby. And then of course the fridge would come on, click, draws about 120 watts. Yeah, about 120 to 140 watts between that and the converter, which it said 97% efficient, and I'm starting to believe it with the way this was acting last night. I'm thinking that 40 watts I had last night, you know, maybe I had something plugged in, or, you know, parasitic draw or something that I cleaned up, who knows. But this has been real good at being able to tell exactly how much uses electricity. Like I said, I was surprised how much that used on its own one night, but didn't use that much last night. So I'm gonna have to just keep keeping an eye on that. But apparently the computer's actually, you know, using a little bit less electricity than I thought, especially if that's already using 40 watts. I might as well use a laptop instead of the tablet on the corner table, which is inconvenient and everything, because the energy difference is next to nothing now since I'm leaving the inverter on. Whereas on those lead acid batteries overnight with the inverter off, turning the inverter on and turning the computer on was enough to make a difference in how much voltage I had in the morning, even watching the computer for an hour or two. Now I'm sitting here, you hear it going? Running the fridge and inverter all night, and it's right now it's drawn about 50%. Like literally just the fridge and the inverter by itself overnight for 2 nights in a row. Although it's only been in the mid to upper 60s, to about 50%, I probably can add an extra 5 or 10% onto that on the hottest nights, because the fridge will have to work harder and everything. Wow, I can't believe we made it this far. So you guys have learned a lot about these things, and it's all thanks to those LiFast batteries. The batteries are awesome and amazing. Same with this charge controller back there. It's awesome and amazing for the price, but boy, is it just not user friendly. I don't think much of this is, because it's all pretty new technology, but still pretty cool. I've already gained 3 or 4%, and again, the sun should just barely be coming up over them trees if it wasn't so cloudy outside. I really have got myself a sustainable system. Now it's time to go ahead and TV, stereo, subwoofers, and have some fun. Oh, by the way, something else to show off later on. I got that and a big professional tripod for $100. Ooh, that thing's definitely fun for a backup subwoofer and even more fun out in the yard. I wasn't showing on the app, but you can actually scroll down here and show your temperatures, but show your balances on your cells, and this is what I was talking about. After I went ahead and accidentally overcharged them to the point where the BMS on the battery kicked in and turned them off before I got home, it went ahead and just, I mean, these were already, again, 0.01% in. Now they're all leveled out, and I wonder how they're doing on battery 2. Of course, you know what's going to happen. Lock up. Let it sit for a second. At least it gives you that information, so you don't have to do this if you don't want to. If you just want to glance at the other battery real quick, but if you cannot restart that app and get your batteries to show back up unless you do this. You have no choice but to do this, or maybe restart your device every time it acts up. It's just nothing you can do about it. But you do this, and it should go back to the battery I last selected. Bing, battery 2, and it is, boom, perfectly balanced as well. Nice. And how was the voltages between the two? 49%. I lost in memory. 48%. So a little off balance this way. I didn't look at the cell data. Anyway, and I think I can actually balance that out by when they start getting topped off, by clicking the charging tab right there and turning it off. And there's also discharge. You can turn that off too and shut the battery off, so the terminals are dead basically. The downside is you'll have to need this app to turn that back on. And the other thing is if somebody else has this app, since they're not password protected as far as I know. Oh wait, yes they are. There is a protection right there. Boom. Yeah, I think, or you know what the bat protection might be? I think you can shut the battery off and put a password on it. That you got to have this in the app and a password to turn the battery back on. To just somebody steals it and it's turned off already. I got to look a little more into it, but that's the idea behind it. But the thing is though, is that if somebody else has this app and is close enough to your batteries, they can shut your batteries off and just being annoying. They can't really do anything else other than that. Especially if you set a password on your batteries, which, you know what, I just thought about it. I might want to do that just because of that, so somebody else doesn't go click and do that. Good news is I'm not detecting. Sorry about that. Just ignore. That's the HDMI on the computer. If I hit, watch this. If I just simply reactivate it, there, boom.
When tyranny becomes law,
boom, it goes away. It's just every time you turn something on with the HDMI, it does that. Anyway, so I think that's just about going to do it, other than maybe getting a shot of the lithium ion batteries and some of the panels and everything. All right, J&K, let's get outside and take a look at how things are. Okay, so what I was, real quick to recap, what I'm talking about with this is the problem I have is if I set the PV off to 3.35 volts a cell, where you're supposed to basically, the batteries are fully charged and rest. Once they peak out, they'll come down and rest, the float voltage, if you will. But if you set that to this to that, it gets to that and then it just stops charging the panel. So I'm losing 200 or 300 watts worth of energy, especially at the end of the day, if the batteries are over about 70%. If I set this up to the where it was at, up to around 3.5 volts a cell, then it will keep up with everything else under load between 70 and hopefully around 95%. And that's what I'm gonna have to find out today. Is I'll see if this one here stops charging and the other controller stops charging when these things peak out today, and this thing keeps on charging. Then I don't know, this thing here really isn't any good for lithium ion batteries past 70%. This will only be really good if I'm really low on batteries. But again, this will be a good candidate for out in the storage trailer, and I'll just have to get another MPPT charge controller to do this right, or just a higher quality. They actually do make PMW charge controllers. They still have a few advantages, but they do make some of these that you can set more than one parameter on. Oh, okay, with these chargers here, this is only 20 amp, 24 volts. That is going to take about 4 or 5 hours from 0 to 100% on 200 amps of batteries, which is what I got right now. So at about half charge, it would take about 2.5 hours. I think what I should do is get another one of these and hook them both up, and I can actually set these to force charge mode, because if one detects the other, they may not, continue charging the battery. I'll have to experiment. Anyway, I can put both these on force charge 20 amps, which would put 40 amps in the batteries, which should, a little over an hour, bring from 45 to 95%, which is what I'm really looking at, if I need it. So that's about $60, or just buy a bigger box that'll actually put out 40 amps. Speaking of 40 amps, look what I'm getting. Almost 40 amps right now at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's awesome. I've gotten about 10% on my battery from the minimum. Yep, right there, boom, 10% at 10 o'clock, from 43 to 53. That's from 100 to 43, and that was again running the home entertainment center till about 8:30 last night, and leaving the fridge on all night. So like I said, I can assume about a 55 to 60% overnight, as long as I give myself a 20% buffer. As long as I go to bed with 80%, I can run normally. If I'm below 80%, I may have to skip out on the TV and the stereo, which I still, again, I'm not turning it on too early in the morning. So to fix all that, I'm just going to get 2 extra batteries as quickly as possible, especially if this thing here is literally going to, at 40, well, it was 40 amps on the cloudy day at 10 o'clock, going to have these things topped off in 2 hours. Yeah, I think a couple extra batteries, and then start adding some solar panels as I get to use the air conditioner more and more, and I'll be in good shape for now. And that's the whole idea too, by the way. The solar panels I had was maxing out the other charge controller, whether or not it was the battery settings causing the problems, or like everybody else that has these problems, is something else wrong with the programming. This one right here, 100 amps versus 60. I was maxing the other one out on the 24 volt system at 1440 or 1460 watts. Again, that thing's supposed to go to 3000 on 24 volt system, and if I jump it up to 48, I go up to 5 kilowatts worth of panels downhill. I've got about 1200 kilowatts with my new set of panels, matching panels I bought last month. I got the 5 cheap Chinese ones, like I said, up on the roof of the trailer next to me, and I got a 350 watt shattered panel, so I'm going to assume it's 250 to 350 hooked up to that right there, hooked up to lithium ions, and that's not 48 volt compatible. Again, that'll go out to the trailer, other storage trailer, but that is 48 volt compatible. If that continues to work decent enough, that'll save me a little money and trouble, and just keep that going on as a little backup at the end of the day. So anyway, let's go downhill and check out the panels. We'll be right back, JK. Okay, the one thing about having the watt meter on the batteries is I can tell that this seems to run about 50 watts. I would already assume that ran about 220 to 250 watts. I haven't really got a chance to actually check that one, because what the best way to tell is one or two ways. At night when it's completely zero and it's you can turn something on and see how much it changes, or if something's real steady running, turn something on and see the difference. Again, with the solar panels coming in and out, it's not good to be trying that out. But when the solar panels are off at night is a good way to tell. But anyway, that seems to get about 60 to 80 watts. This seems to get 15 to 40 watts. Depending on if it's charged the battery, it seems. That seems to get between 5 and 60 watt, or 5 and 30 watts, depending on if it's charging or not. These seem to get about 2.5 to 5 watts, depending on how bright and how many LEDs are on. Might even go up to 7.5 or 8 if I turn the blue LEDs on and max it out. Surprisingly, the surround sound system and everything, it goes up and down, up and down. I was assuming about 300 watts. I swear though that it runs closer to 150 for the receiver and the subwoofer, and that's an average with the music thumping loud. Again, that's something I haven't got to test yet, but that's hard to say. The surprising thing is the refrigerator. It seems to draw about 120 to 130 watts. And I would say that with the inverter, it's drawing no more than about 160 watts. So if that thing's getting 40 watts on standby, then that means the fridge is only drawing about 120 watts, which is awesome. If that thing really is doing closer to the 20 watts, 15 to 20 watts, still the fridge is doing good. We're talking 10s and 5s here now, and hopefully I'm gonna be jumping up into kilowatts. But just to give you an idea what some of these little things are drawing as I'm learning for sure over time, and what you might want to expect if you ever choose to do these things yourself. So yeah, we still get about 500 watts off of the panels downhill. All right, J&K, let's close you up so we can head outside today. Uh-oh, that little thing always gets in the way. All right. Oh. We had a hurricane or tornado go through about a mile up the road and dropped a bunch of trees everywhere and took out my awning. And I'd show off the lead acid batteries, but I have to take the box apart. I got it bolted up so that it's hard to get into for security right now, because those things are pretty expensive. So what I was talking about with the boost and the boost recovery and everything, and the 3.5 volts and 3.3 volts per cell. If you got a 12 volt system, you multiply that by 4, 48 volt system, multiply it by 8, and a 48 volt system, you'll multiply that by 16. Hopefully I'll put me a little chart on the screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. Anywho, so over here is the new solar panel array. I believe I showed it on the last video, but I've got these now set up 6x2 for 1200 watts, 1.2 kilowatts, and they're 6 in series and 6 in series hooked up to the breaker. So they're about 120 volts, and that new charge controller can go up to 150 volts, which is 140 volts plus a 10 volts to mess around with on top. And the other charge controller would only do that if you're running 48 volts. I'll be able to actually add 2 panels to that, one on each set in series, without upping the ampage up the wire up to 140 volts for not very much. If I go ahead and get some more matching panels, which I'm gonna go ahead and jump on that too and do that while I can get a good deal on them, get them all matching, because that's the best way to go. And when I get all the or anyway, I'm going to probably double that up sooner than later and go about 2400, or not 2400, that'll be 2800 downhill, maxing out the voltage. And at that point I'll have to go at 48 volts before I can add more panels. But I think with the way things are going, I'll probably go ahead and buy me a couple of new batteries, or a couple of extra batteries first. And the other good thing is, the sooner you buy batteries together, the more, you know, balanced and matching they'll be. And I'll probably set the old lead acid batteries up in there right away, unless that other charge controller is no good. I've actually got a 100 watt Renogy panel left over that, doing the math, there's no way to hook it up. And it's 12 volt, 20 volt, you know, open current. So it'll probably not necessarily go on this trailer because there's no sun, but you know, I'll probably put the lead acid batteries in there, vent them, put the charge controller in there, and a panel powering that. So that's got its own little 12 volt. I got 120 volt, 1200 watt, 12 volt inverter. I can test in there to run some small appliances. You know, with those two bigger batteries and that charger up top, you know, it'll run something a few hours at a time while I go in there to do things, and at least leave some lights and fans on and stuff when I need it. That'll be pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, that panel there, hooked up the PWM, and I'll have to just show you a picture because I'm not going to climb up on the roof, but way up on there on the roof, I got that box of other panels going to the PWM potentially terrible controller. Like I said, let me see how it does with the battery settings, right? And I may have to take back all the hate I had on the last video about it. Well, I got a yard to mow, so let me go fix up a trailer to tow the lawnmower over and get going, and see if I can't get it done while the weather's cool and cloudy. Alright, I'm almost to 90% state of charge, and apparently I'm drawing about 60 watts more than I'm pulling in, since it's gotten a little bit more cloudy with the refrigerator running. So I might need to start powering down, or I don't know, maybe it'll get a little brighter. Anyway, I tried to install the app on this old LG phone that I've got, because it's good about leaving the screen on, and I've got real, you know, other than maybe a little security camera, I've got no use for it right now. So it made a perfect on-the-wall monitor, but it won't install the app. It doesn't even seem to want to connect to the internet anymore. I don't know what's up with that, but I went ahead and just shared the app right from there to there using quick share, and it still wouldn't install the app. Or no, it wouldn't share the app. It says cannot share app. I tried sharing another app, and it does share apps and does install and work. So I think it's the app itself. Anyway, it installs on this more modern Samsung, which is just kind of a backup device anyway, and a basically a little music device for the Bluetooth speaker that, you know, because it doesn't take SD cards or anything. Anyway, I was able to connect with the batteries and everything, and I was afraid that since batteries are both sitting, you know, switchable, that it wouldn't be able to do both devices. Again, being a little glitchy and everything, is still, I connect to that battery one on that one first, or is that, no, that's battery 2. What I did was, when I force stopped this app and then opened it, and when I opened it, it only showed battery 1, because apparently this one's already connected to battery 2. It doesn't actually connect to both batteries at the same time. It switches between them, and that might be what the problem is, why you got to force stop it. Anyway, so it is able to do both batteries off of two different devices at the same time if you really want to do that. So if I can find another phone that'll work and have this app, I can just hang these on the wall, set this to screen default so it doesn't time out after 10 minutes, plug it in. Then I got me a you know, an actual constant battery meter here. So pretty awesome. Just wanted to point those out. Oh, and figured out a good way to work with this little system. This thing here locks up. go ahead and have this running in the background with the apps and the XiaoXaing electronic app brought up, and just have it right there. So you go force stop, okay, and then just swipe, boom, and it'll reload. Locks up, gives you problems. I'm not gonna stop. You know what I actually want to do is figure out if, okay, I got a 0.00 volt difference. These things are very well balanced between the cells. 334, 333. Boy, like I said, they're so close, but 333, but they are 1 volt off. So what I'm gonna try doing is see if I can stop charging one battery and have the other battery still charged for a short while. Will it still charge one battery and stop charging one battery? Oh. I guess that stuff's automatic, and I guess that's where I got to go into the control for, and I guess that's where I'm gonna have to go over to here and well, shoot. I mean, I'll have to disconnect one battery and charge it with that. Alright, about 20 minutes until it's charged up. About 600 watts going into the battery. Almost 50 amps right there, you just saw. I'm hoping that any time now that these chargers will start going into float mode. If they don't, the first thing I'll do is start playing with the PWM that I've got the parameters set up to the cutoff voltage and see if that's causing the trouble. Oh, here comes the clouds. Take more time. Okay, I'm right about 95%, and I checked the voltage and it's about 27.4. So what I did was went ahead and set this to 27.3, and I went ahead and stopped charging, and it seemed to be putting about adding about 100 watts into the 500 coming in earlier, maybe 75-ish, because now I'm down to about 400 watts coming in. So let's see here. Yeah, that thing stopped charging. Alright, I got a little conundrum that may... Okay, no, it's not. Alright. This is one little situation I'm trying to figure out. Okay. It's still putting in about... Shoot, that's almost 400, about 380, 390 watts into the... battery still. Yeah, it's over 400 watts now. It's 96%. I want these things to stop, but here's the thing: the refrigerator's pulling about 150 watts and the laptop about 30. How do I get the solar panels to still put out 200 watts but not charge the battery at the same time? I may need a separate device. I think they call it a shunt to do all of that. But the important thing is for me to figure out, maybe by setting this a little lower, and now the refrigerator isn't running, so this really ought to drop down to next to nothing, but it's not. Because now, see, this, I hate to admit it, the PMW might actually be superior at this just simply because it reaches that voltage and shuts off. Yeah, this is frustrating. I really don't want to have to sit here. It's the boost charge. Let's try turning that down. Alright, now that should... Alright, it's dropping. I might need to go down one more notch. Drop some more. Yes, it does. Let's see what that equals out to, and which means I'm gonna have to go and set this one down one more notch. I think this one here is already set to equal that 26.6. Oh no, that's set for something different. All right, now let's see how the charging voltage is doing, or wattage. Sun's coming out, getting brighter, and so is the wattage going up. Oh boy, I don't know how to solve this. Well, if I do, I'll get back with you, other than just shutting it all down. The last note, I'm wondering if I do go ahead and just break down and register the battery so I can get into those specific settings, if I can just use the battery manager, the BMS, you know, it's got the over voltage protection, you know, or overcharge protection. If I set that low enough, will that do what I need it to do without harming the batteries, or is that not a good idea? So far, it seems like a good idea if I can get in there and change it, or who knows, maybe it's already doing the job I needed to do right now. I think I might go up to 100% and see how quickly it shuts off. And again, I don't want to go over 100%, but if it shuts off immediately after 100%, I ain't gonna worry about damaging the batteries right away, and I'll figure out a way to get down to 95% somehow soon. But I just gotta finish this. We've been going on way too long, so I really am going to go ahead and absolutely come to a stop. It is 4:33 after editing this video all day, and my batteries did not charge at all. I've been on a net negative because it has just been continuing to storm from that storm earlier. So I started up the generator. Sure enough, it is putting out the 35 amps at 12 volts that it's rated at. About 250 watts going into the or 450 watts total going into both batteries, and it'll take whatever times I said earlier in the video, double it. J&K, we've got nothing else to say today. Now it is time to stop. Do not buy one of these Viver battery chargers. After about a half hour, it dropped about 450 to 350, and after an hour and a half, I went to go pause it, and as I touched it, it shook just a little tiny bit, went pop, screen went off, and I guess I got to get a new one of those to fix this. Is it even worth it? Will it just happen again? Now I'm stuck with no way to charge my batteries up, so back to the Stone Age and low consumption mode. Yikes. Alright, I just got done wiring in a fuse. Mind you, that's going to be live mains when it's powered up till I insulate it. But let's just see if it even works. Worth putting back together. There goes nothing. So far, no good. Oh, they just blew that fuse too. Yep, there's something definitely wrong inside of that thing. Bummer. Oh, for what it's worth, I have two 100 amp hour 12 volt lithium iron phosphate batteries. They are wired in series to make 24 volts, which is still 100 amp hours at 24 volts. But if you wanted to drop it down to 12 volts, it would be 200 amp hours. But I like to just try to do everything in watts because it converts over all three different voltages. In fact, all voltages really. A lot better for reference. And I'll say one more thing about the Viver charger. Again, when it works, it really is a good charger and a good deal. I really believe it might be heat problems causing the issue. Had I not touched it when I did, maybe it wouldn't have popped, but obviously I had to touch a deposit unless I just went and shut the mains power off to it. But to be honest, for the price, I think it might be best to buy two of those with extended warranty than buy any one of the other chargers I was looking at for, you know, the $140, $150 it's going to cost for two of those versus anything else in 24 volts I'd get. You know, nothing had any features, and honestly nothing even came close to the, you know, total of 35 amps I'd be able to draw out of that thing. You know, also it's being 12 volt compatible, you know, means I can go use it for other things when I do upgrade to 48 volts. Woohoo! Everything on all at once. And I'm breaking even on my electricity. And the AC is about to cycle, and when it does, that's an extra 600 watts into a full battery. Uh-oh, J&K. Time to shut it down. You'll have to forgive the audio, but you know, despite not having a battery charger anymore to run off the generator does still come in handy on cloudy days if you know how to use it. Like, I needed to do 3 loads of laundry, get caught up, and the refrigerator's, you know, doing its thing about 85 watts an hour average, cycling on and off. And you know, you look on the app, and you know, I'm only getting about 100 to 250 watts in the clouds, and the air or the refrigerator's eating most of that I'm getting right up there. So running the air generator, turn the refrigerator on, save that energy, put it into the batteries, and instead of again being on a negative or having to wait to do that to inconvenient time, go ahead and get the laundry done. Take about an hour or less to do it, and it'll take about an hour or less to do it, and I'll you know, cost me $1, but I'll have that much more batteries and my laundry done. Now, check out what I got going on over here. Look how nice and clean all this is with the water pump switch over here. And I've actually got that taken care of with crimp-on connectors and nuts and bolts and washers. And same with the inverter and my 2 new batteries. Ba-ding! I got this switching really awesome. I went ahead and unhooked the converter and hook this up to the inverter for now. I might get a bigger breaker later. And this is again hooked up to the generator, and this is a refrigerator, living room, and the refrigerator is also the bedroom. And this is the washer, you know, that outlet right there. Gonna go to the kitchen and hot water heater. And that's why it's got a switch on the hot water heater. Anyway, this right here, inverter off, go start the generator, turn this on. Turn this off, turn the generator off, turn that back on. And if I want to save a couple of watts or care to, I can reach down there and turn the inverter on and off manually. But now I don't have to unplug anything. It's just a bunch of switches and a string to pull. All right, while editing the video, I happened to notice that I could turn the color inversion on this device on to get that dark theme I was talking about wanting. And here we go. I'm going to go ahead, make sure everything connects right, and set the battery name, and boom, Joshua's Juice 2. All right, now I also figured out how to change the batteries without exiting the back and forth through the app. Go to real time. Instead of clicking over here, go to device list. See this unlink? That means that the battery's connected. Click it. Okay, click it, unlink it. Now, connect the other battery that you want. I don't know why it didn't show up Joshua's Juice 2, but we'll play with that in a minute. Anyway, connect the battery that you want. And boom, now you've changed the batteries without locking up the app. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to get both of these to connect at the same time. Usually what did it say? We'll read it. Anyway, that's how you do it. No, Joshua's Juice 2. There we go. Alright, back to the show. Hi J&K. I believe I've got nothing else to say today. Now it is. Oh, yes, it is one thing to say. With that Ever battery charger, I am going to take those and take them out of their cases and build my own cases and put an extra fan so they get extra ventilation and keep the old, keep the cases to put the insides back in should they fail for the warranty. That's the best idea I can come up with. Until next time in another update. Joshua Birds Production. Signing out. I hope you enjoyed that long, lengthy, almost 2 videos into one presentation and took something from it. Whether to go off-grid or not, it takes a lot more money, time, and trouble than you think, especially if you try to nickel and dime it at first. Well, as always, this is J&K saying more to come, and we'll see you next time.